Think about how many hours your great-grandparents had to work to pay for basic necessities like food and clothing. Now, think about how many hours you will have to work for the same things. Today, people on average can earn more in real terms per hour than people of previous generations. Why are we able to produce more per hour than prior generations did? This is the subject matter of this chapter. Let's distinguish output growth from per capita output growth. Output growth is the growth rate of output of the entire economy. Per capita output growth is the growth rate of output per person in the economy. Another important measure is the growth rate of output per worker, called labor productivity growth, which enables workers to produce more goods and services than they otherwise could for a given number of work hours. We begin this chapter with a brief history of economic growth since the Industrial Revolution. Before the Industrial Revolution in Great Britain, every society in the world was people spent most of their time producing food and other basic subsistence goods. Then, around 1750 in England, technical change and capital accumulation increased productivity significantly in two important industries. And higher productivity made it possible to feed and clothe the population and have time left to spend working on other projects and new products, as the British moved from being largely an agrarian society to industrial production. The transition from agriculture to the industry has been more recent in developing countries in Asia. Although the nature of economic growth has changed over time, its basic building blocks are the same. Growth comes from a bigger workforce and more productive workers. Higher productivity comes from tools, a better educated and more highly skilled workforce or human capital, and increasingly from innovation and technical change, new techniques of production, and newly developed products and services. Some economists argue that when poorer, less developed countries begin to develop, they typically have higher growth rates as they catch up with the more developed countries. This idea is called the convergence theory because it suggests that gaps in the national incomes tend to close off. The sources of economic growth are increase in labor supply, increase in physical capital, increase in the quality of the labor supply, and increase in the quality of capital. In most situations, it seems logical that if we increase the number of workers in the society, the output will increase. Both economic theory and practice tell us that in the absence of increases in the capital stock, as labor increases, less and less output will be added by each new worker. This effect is called diminishing returns. The extra output from the garden that can be produced when a second shovel is added is likely to be smaller than the extra output that was produced when the first shovel was added. The importance of capital in a country's economic growth naturally leads one to ask the question of what determines a country's stock of capital. Foreign direct investment is any investment in enterprises made in a country by residents outside that country. When the quality of labor increases, this is referred to as an increase in human capital. If a worker's human capital has increased, he or she can produce more output working with the same amount of physical capital. Labor input in efficiency terms has increased. Human capital can be produced in many ways. Individuals can invest in themselves by going to college or by completing vocational training programs. Firms can invest in human capital through on-the-job training. Workers have changed in the last 100 years, so have machines. A present-day word processor is quite different from the manual typewriter of the mid-20th century. An increase in the quality of a machine will increase output in the production process for the same amount of labor used. How does an increase in the quality of capital come about? It comes about in what we will call embodied technical change. It is the technical change that an increase in the quality of capital increases labor productivity, more output for the same amount of labor. A type of technical change that is not specifically embedded in either labor or capital, but works instead to allow us to get more out of both. The main point to keep in mind is that technical change, regardless of how it is categorized, increases labor productivity. Technical change generally takes place in two stages. First, there is an advanced knowledge or an invention. However, knowledge by itself does nothing unless it is used. When new knowledge is used to produce a new product or to produce an existing product more efficiently, there is innovation.